Tag TV and Tag Radio be seen and heard by both technology users and technology producers throughout the state of Georgia and around the world. Low cost, big benefits, powerhouse online branded video and audio has arrived. Tag TV, Tag Radio, there's a lot more to know. This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. In or about technology in Georgia? A member of TAG? Well, you know the importance of the acronym STEM, S-T-E-M, the fields of study in the categories of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The initiative began nationally to address the lack of qualified candidates for high-tech jobs and the concern that the subjects are often taught in isolation instead of as an integrated curriculum. Greetings, everyone. It's Friday, September 28, 2012, and this is Tech Talk with Technology Association of Georgia President Tino Mantella. I'm your guest host, Frank Baia. Will the United States be able to compete economically with other nations in the future? Up to the Tech Talk. Georgia, with its growing technology community, needs to enhance, upgrade, and develop new activities to elevate the effectiveness of schools to produce more students pursuing STEM and related education. Enter Georgia Southern University's Institute for Interdisciplinary STEM Education and Professor Robert Mays. Dr. Mays' role is to develop collaborative grant and research efforts across the university. His research focus is on the teaching and learning of problem-solving, mathematical modeling, and quantitative reasoning in the sciences and social services. His extensive academic career spans decades of prestigious and professionally recognized positions across the entire education spectrum on the high school, community college, and university levels. A professor at West Virginia University, University of Northern Colorado, University of Wyoming, and Georgia Southern University, among others. He has served as Director of Mathematics and Science Teaching Center, Director of the Institute for Mathematics Learning, a coordinator and curriculum development lead of Technology-Enhanced Algebra, writing a text for the course called ACT, A-C-T, in Algebra, a co-pi on the NSF Center for Learning and Teaching, and steward for the second doctoral cohort. He also served as a vice president for college on the West Virginia Community of Teachers of Mathematics Executive Committee and the director of the University of Wyoming's Science and Mathematics Teaching Center. Collaborative partnerships to improve STEM, and what is the new Institute for Interdisciplinary STEM Education, its mission and potential impact for Georgia's future economy and that of the nation in the 21st century. Tech Talk takes on STEM as we meet Dr. Robert Mays, professor, Georgia Southern University. Bob, welcome to Tech Talk.
Oh, thanks for having me.
You know, the subject of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, I don't think it's been more than just a few years ago where the acronym probably wouldn't be understood by most people, and now I think it's probably pretty much on the consciousness of anyone that's involved in certainly in education, but obviously even in economic development, government, politics even for that matter, as it relates to the resources that are necessary to expand economies. One of the exciting things is you guys have got a new institute at Georgia Southern University, the Institute for Interdisciplinary STEM Education. Tell our listeners a little bit about what you guys are up to.
Well, the STEM Institute is a collaboration of 4 colleges across and the research office here at Georgia Southern University. Primary mission is to improve the teaching and learning of STEM education, pretty much K to 20, as well as informal science education, and to look at workforce development as well as research and professional development outreach opportunities. So we're fortunate here. There's a real kind of a leadership push at Georgia Southern University to look at STEM in general and STEM education, and we were fortunate to get the College of Education, College of Engineering and Information Technology, the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences, and the College of Science and Mathematics to all partner with us.
Well, I think it is a holistic approach, I would guess, only in the sense that, but one of the reasons I have often heard how challenging it is to get younger people motivated to want to get into those disciplines. And I guess the irony of it is most of them are involved in what we would seem to be trite activities like gaming, when in reality a lot of the fundamentals that are at the core of some of their intuitive reactions and intuitive thinking as it relates to gaming is formalized, much more disciplined, and coming to a much richer conclusion when there's an actual education process. I guess I'm stumbling to get to my point, and the question being, how is it still an issue of motivating enough people to get to participate in STEM?
I believe that it is a motivation and engagement issue as much as it is anything else. There's also some economic issues in terms of the pay that is paid for positions in STEM sometimes. But one of the things that we are really wanting to do here is to work on getting students to see early on the utility and usefulness of STEM in their lives, the impact that STEM has on them both as a person and in their community. So it's really important about getting them to think about, what does STEM mean to me in my place?
Well, obviously we're the Technology Association of Georgia. The T stands for technology. Give us a little idea of what the goals are for the Institute with respect to technology education.
Well, one of the big pushes nationally is to look at computational science and the idea of intensive data science as new roles for how science and technology is being used in science. They even talk about it actually being a new paradigm of science. And we aren't doing very much right now in K-12 education to promote this idea of technology from this new perspective of looking at large database analysis within science, can also be within economics and social science, but also this idea of a large database analysis, and we need to do a lot more of that. So I think that would be one of my big pushes is that, how do we move students from thinking of technology as a place where they play games or a place where they build music videos or watch YouTube to a place where they think about real-world problems and the analysis and the thought that goes into to modeling and simulating some of those real-world problems today.
What's probably a curiosity from the amateur standpoint looking into the situation is the kind of fascination that some of these virtual environments, these virtual worlds, are really slowly creeping into reality. I know gamification is now a term that's used in business that obviously comes from some of the games and the incentive programs and things that were done to induce action-reaction in a particular environment. And I think, as you're pointing out, a lot of the experiences that the younger people are excited about really are going to be core competencies once they're, when you talk about, I'm guessing, data, in this case being big data and analytics, and the whole concept of what that's going to represent not only to science but even to economics in terms of having so much information. The irony right now, I think, for a lot of our professionals is that data is on overload. We don't know what to do with it all because we've got so much of it. How do we interpret and use it to our advantage? Would you say that obviously you've got some goals, but a mission? What is the mission of the Institute?
Well, the mission is to improve the teaching and learning of STEM. I think that's our primary core mission. We're hoping that what will spring out of that mission are kind of two outcomes. One of those outcomes is simply to have a more scientifically literate, technologically literate society that can make more informed decisions about complex issues that are going to impact the next generation. And the other is to reignite the excitement and interest in STEM for those that might be waning a little bit, to keep more of them into the pipeline to become our future scientists and technologists.
One of the things that we see a lot that gets a lot of notoriety, we've talked about it here in a couple of instances, and that is the whole entertainment aspect of the things that seem to be most appealing to some of the younger generation. and the irony of the entertainment industry being so impacted by technology that every one of the verticals, music and film and gaming and even broadcast, have all been not only impacted but disruptively impacted in terms of how things get produced all the way through how they get distributed. And now I think it's a case where some of those same models, I would assume, could almost be sort of warnings to some of the more traditional businesses about how soon technology, if it hadn't already, is going to be impacting their particular industries or verticals. Talk a little bit about collaborative partnerships. Obviously, you mentioned earlier about what you guys are doing there from an interdisciplinary standpoint, but to improve STEM education, how is this related, say, for example, to the Technology Association?
Well, one of the things that I believe we need to do in order to be able to turn the STEM corner is we have to build collaboratives not only across, within universities, but across universities and school districts. Just as importantly, we need to build those collaboratives with industries and business partners and research organizations that exist across Georgia, to get all of those people working together to think about how, to get students involved in how STEM is impacting what we do and how we do it. So I know that TAG has a lot of interest in building these kind of collaboratives and has much better connections on the business side. We're hoping to help and partner in moving the business and the school and the university sides together. And TAG's a wonderful partner for being able to do that.
It is about convergence. We talked about it as a cliche almost a decade or more ago, and probably even longer, that things were going to slowly begin to converge, and certainly education and industry. One can't operate without the other. We're already seeing it in terms of some of our challenges as far as even economic expansion, without having enough of the kind of resources, with enough of the right kind of training to do the kind of jobs that these new economies are going to be creating. And unfortunately, we're running quickly out of time, but before you go, I'd be curious, from an institute's initiative standpoint, maybe tell our listening audience a little bit about some of the potential programs in technology education that you're hoping to actually get going.
Well, I think one of the things we're looking at right now are National Science Foundation programs that are looking at integrating STEM in general and technology in particular into K-12 schools. So looking at a particular technological example would be looking at how we get computational science and database science and technology into the 6th to 12th grade curriculum, so that it's so that we are keeping the students engaged in that strand of thought and developing hopefully the next generation of programmers and technological workforce.
Dr. Robert Mays, professor, Georgia Southern University. Bob, thank you so much for taking time, not only for the commitment and the work that you're doing out at Georgia Southern. Obviously, it's important to all of us, and I think to all of the economic impact, not only in the state of Georgia, but ideally even from a national perspective. But thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today on Tech Talk.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I enjoyed being on the program.